are, ladies and gentlemen, with another exciting episode of the Scouser and the Scot.
So today on the 20-minute showdown, we have someone who's just making a bit of a scene in the music industry at the moment. Chick from Bad Actress. How the hell are you doing?
Hi, I'm all good. How are you guys getting on?
We're doing very well. Are you ready for your 20 minutes?
Yep, good to go.
Right. Let's start the countdown now. So tell us about Bad Actress. How did it all start?
All started with me and my younger brother. I wrote this riff for a song called Low Down and Dirty, and I got that name from Cheers. You know, like the show. Yeah, I was watching that.
I know Cheers.
And I just heard someone say that, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be a cool name for a song." So I was like, "Right, I'll write a song called Low Down and Dirty." So I wrote one, I recorded it on a little 8-track, and played it back through my hi-fi stereo in my room. And I was like, "Lewis, come and check this out." And I was well excited. I was like, "This is such a cool song." And Lewis was like, "Yeah, we're gonna rock the world. We'll make a band, and it'll be sick." And so we recorded with him on the drums as well.
So Lewis, just to point out, check that Lewis is your younger brother, and he's the drummer in the band. So
yeah,
it might be an idea if you just quickly go through who's in the band, so that when you reference them, we know who you're talking about.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Louis, my younger brother, he's the drummer. So me and him kind of founded the band with that song, and Tommy was in from the start as well. So he's the rhythm guitarist. We've got my older brother on vocals as well. He joined a wee bit later. And then Alexi on bass, he's the newest member. He's just joined this year.
So there's 3 brothers in the band, the eldest one being Vinny, the singer. How old is Vinny?
He's just turned 22.
So he's 22. How old are you?
I'm 20.
And then Louis he's 18, isn't he?
17, yeah.
17, is he?
18, John, just in case anyone's watching. We know the rules. 18 years. He's just become 18. Yeah, there you go.
By the time this video comes out.
So by the time you, how old were you when you wrote that first song?
Oh, it was probably about 4 years ago or something. I was still in school. I remember that. I left school when I was 15, so I would have been about 15. Louis would have been 13 then. Yeah, something like that.
Madness. And isn't it right that you actually started off as a drummer? You weren't a guitarist to start with, were you?
I was a drummer, yeah. I started playing drums. I mean, I learned a couple of chords in guitar. That's how I got into music. My dad taught me Donald, Where's Your Trousers guitar. So, yeah,
good staple of any sleaze rock band.
I was left-handed, so I write left-handed. So I thought I'd play the guitar left-handed, but I couldn't play it. But it was left-handed. And it turns out I'm kind of right-handed now. So I write left-handed, but everything else, I'm right-handed. So I think I kind of switched and just was, I don't know. But so I just hated it. I hated the guitar. So I was like, no, I'm not playing that. But I still wanted to play. So my dad was like, oh, there's a drum workshop. Do you want to go along to it? So I went along, got into that. And Vinny was playing guitar, so he would play Donald Where's Your Trousers, and I'd play the drums to it.
Sounds like a plan. And the wee man would just stand there dancing along.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. He was he'd be the kind of Michael Jackson, you know, he was the wild card.
Do you know what? If you get any videos of him dancing like Michael Jackson to Donald Where's Your Trousers, that would be gold. That'd be gold dust, especially now Bad Actress, how you guys are taking off.
We'll shoot one tomorrow, John. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I think it's a winner, that.
So when did what's happened over the last 2 years? Obviously, we've had COVID and stuff like that. So all of a sudden, we've just had Bad Actress just thrown upon us. So what have you been doing the last 2 years?
Hoping for the best. I think something a lot of people have pointed out is that we've stayed active doing what we can. I think a lot of bands have been kind of like, well, there's a pandemic, so we can't do anything, so we're not going to do anything. And I've noticed that I've got into bands that I've maybe heard in a playlist or something, gone over to their Instagram, and they haven't posted since like October 2020 or something. I'm like, well, I'm not going to follow you because I don't I'm not going to get anything kind of thing.
Mm.
But I was thinking that, what can we do through the whole lockdown? We could be shooting videos, or, if we can we set up a recording studio at home as well and just start releasing music. So we just kind of got as creative as we could, really. Definitely miss gigging though a lot, so I'm glad to get back to that. And obviously,
I think that was a key thing though, Chick, because if you'd stood still and done nothing like the others, at the stage you were at, nobody, I mean, there's a definite buzz about bad actors. We know that. We're actively involved, and Ian alluded to it as well. But I think the simple fact that you became self-sufficient, and one thing I liked about you guys, and the reason why I first noticed you was on ERB magazine, which was the very first edition, and I think it was you were obviously interviewing that, and I read it, and that's what jumped out at me was the name, how you looked, and the things you were saying. But it was this whole ethos of we're just keeping busy, and we're going to keep doing this, and we're recording it all at home, and I was like, that's what you want, especially with young guys. Yeah. Young guys, I wouldn't have expected that from people so young as you guys, but you are very driven as a band. You're very driven at what you do. I mean, that's one thing.
I think we are lucky to have the advantage that three of us are brothers, so we didn't have to isolate from each other. So we could be doing a lot of work at home. I mean, Vinny has his own flat, but he lives by himself, so it was okay. But I do feel for a lot of bands that couldn't get together and things, and it's definitely taken its toll on a lot of people, I think.
And it was even worse in Scotland as well, because they were
stricter, weren't they?
They were much more draconian than we were down here in England. So even for that, it was a lot worse for Scottish bands, I believe. I think gone by our other Scottish bands, some of them never saw each other for 8 months. Yeah. So yeah, you're right to point that out as well. So you're talking about missing gigging. You've done a fair few since you've been lucky because you came down to England when they're still not gigging, weren't gigging in Scotland. You came down to England, you did quite a few down here, so that kind of helped you out. But can you just talk us through what it felt like, that very first gig that you did back?
Yeah, well, we did that was through you guys. So working with you guys was definitely another thing we were looking forward to doing, gigging, because we started working with you guys just into lockdown, really. So it's been quite a while, and it was great to start doing the gigs. So Smoke on the Water thing was awesome, that festival, because that was our first time in England and our first show back. Because we just booked the tour to do, and a lot of it was dates up here, and we were just watching it get cancelled date by date. Up here they were all getting moved. So we're just kind of playing rescheduling dates now. But then going up there and doing that was awesome, because it was just like completely different. People were just getting back to it. And the same then when we came down to England a few weeks ago, and did those 3 dates, that was great as well. It was great to see people turn out for live music though as well, because I think a lot of people were worried that people wouldn't want to come out, even when they were allowed to, things.
Yeah, I must admit, it is difficult just now getting people to come out. There's a lot of fear, but let's not look at the negatives, because the positives were I've been at 3 of your 4 gigs down here, and you went down an absolute storm in them all. You really did. So what do you think? What is it, as Bad Actress as a band, what do you go out to do when you play live? What is it? What's your goal? I mean, all right, obviously everybody will go to have people have a good time, but what is it that you guys think you do differently? What's your mindset?
I think a lot of it is that we want to be the reason that people will come back, even if it's not to see us, but to see live music. That people, if it was your first gig, we want to be the reason that you would come to another gig, or go and see another band, because that's how we got into music. Just putting the energy into it, I think, and creating a lot of energy as well. Because I've seen a lot of bands that don't, and it was when I was younger and started going to see live music, it was always the bands that put on a show that stood out to me, the bands that you could see put a lot of energy in it.
So which bands have you seen when you was growing up and you thought, shit, I want to be like that?
Well, the thing that set me off was AC/DC. So my dad had videotapes of AC/DC, and we would watch Angus Young running about, and we would like dress up in the living room watching the tapes and pretend it was us. Cool. So we loved that kind of thing, and that was what stood out to us. And you know, even when we started getting more into the sleaze stuff, we were like, okay, Motley Crue and Skid Row and all these people, and we watched the shows that they did and say, you know, we should do this or we should do that, you know. But it's just the we want to be having a lot of fun, and we want everyone else to be having a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, I think so. When you were at that stage, you are very unusual in that, as guys as young as you are, the music that you play, there's not too many bands and there's not too many people your age are into rock music, which is or metal, which is one of my bugbears. How many of your friends or schoolmates were into the same music as you interest?
We didn't have friends or schoolmates.
Well, if you did, can you imagine how many would have been into it?
Well, we had friends until we started gigging and they wouldn't show up. That was it.
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we would get maybe friends from school come up to the odd show we did in town or whatever when we started out. But they weren't really not interested in it or not interested in music really.
Why do you think that is, Chet?
I think I think now because there's so much music that if you're not into it, it won't find you. You know, you'll be listening to whatever's on the radio, and it's not going to be that. You know.
Yeah, spot on.
So obviously, if people haven't seen Bad Actress, what would they expect if they came to a show?
I think a lot of energy and a lot of hair, and I think they would definitely have a lot of fun. That's kind of our goal, is so that people have fun. You know, they'll come back. We did one show a few years ago at primary school. It was a charity show, and we didn't know what to expect because it was just kind of. I think it was one of Vinny's friends or something was putting on, so we just kind of like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. So we went along and did like a half-hour set in the back of a trailer, and it was just all these primary school kids, and we were like, they're gonna hate us, you know. They absolutely loved it, and it was brilliant because it was like younger than the young generation, you know, getting into us. So we were like, well, that's kind of what you want, you know.
Well, but that backs up what you said earlier and what I've always suspected, which is if young people are exposed to it, they will like it. But the problem is right now, like when Ian and I were growing up, I mean, Ian's a good bit younger than me, but it was still prevalent. There was still a big market for rock and metal, and you can still see it quite easily. But now, like you say, unless you go physically looking for it, it isn't going to find you. Whereas when I was young and when Ian was young, it did. You couldn't, you know, you couldn't avoid it. Now you can avoid it quite easily, and that's the thing. And I think these primary school kids proved that, literally.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's that's why having a show and having something else is quite important to us, because we're a live band, really. You know, there is so many bands now that you could listen to anybody. So we do like to stand out. If we're playing live, we want people to have a good time, and it's something they get something different that they don't get just by listening to us, you know.
What was really, I mean, Ian, you know the guys from Blitz obviously well, and what was really good was two of the gigs that Bad Actress did. They were supporting Blitz, one at Chesterfield and one in Nottingham, which is obviously Blitz's home city. And what was really good was you could see the similarities between the two bands, but the huge age gap, the big age gap between them. But yeah, it was like fathers and sons. It was really funny to see. But yet they shared this same sort of DNA, which is obviously, your Chick's talking about it. It's his dad. The reason why the three brothers are into the type of music is because of his dad. It's as easy as that. He loved all that stuff and exposed them to it. But it was really good to see from my perspective. I loved it. And the fact that he learned a lot from Blitz as well.
The interesting thing as well about my dad is he wasn't like a rock fan, like a diehard rock fan growing up. They were exposed to that kind of music, so he was into it. So it's kind of completely different. It kind of found him, you know.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So we have got the 5-minute warning, which is just down there at the moment, and it's wearing away. As you'll see, So we've got to ask you the quick questions. It's quick fire round.
Right.
What are we expecting to see from Bad Actress in the next couple of months, short term, long term?
More gigs. We've got our first sold out show coming up in a couple of weeks. And this weekend we're doing the finals for the Stormbreakers in Bathgate. The showcase for Winter Storm Festival. So just lots of gigging.
So what other gigs are we expecting to see you in? Any other ones as well?
So we've got that this weekend, Stormbreakers. Weekend after that, we're at the Tooth and Claw in Inverness, and that's our first sold out one. Then we're down in Aberdeen the weekend after that at Tunnels. Then back up to Inverness, we're doing a Monster Fest Club Festival. So it's the Thursday night of Monster Fest. That's on the 11th of November. And then we're back in Glasgow as well for the first time this year, I think. That's in December. So all the dates are up on our website as well.
And the thing I like to point out is that Bad Actress are from Forres, which is really up north. I mean, that's right up the top of Scotland. I mean, it's about 3 foot. I describe it as 3 foot short Iceland. So even going to Glasgow and Edinburgh for them is quite a few hours drive. So when they come down into England, it's a fair trek. I think to come to Windermere, where Smoking What was like a 9.5 hour drive for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So
Worth it, though.
that's how.
Fun.
Yeah.
So where would you like to play?
Anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everywhere and everywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
What is your dream festival? Come on, Chick. You must have one festival.
It's always been a goal to do Download. But I think as well, Wacken Festival in Germany and Hellfest and things, these kind of bigger festivals would be really cool. But there's been a lot that we went to as well, like Wildfire Festival. We used to go to that when we were younger. Didn't manage to make it this year, but because that's up here, that would be good to do.
Great festival. It's one of the best. I like it.
Yeah.
We played it this year, so it was really good.
The thing I can say, I mean, which I can't tell you just now is that obviously we've got plans for them for next year because they're with the Forge Ahead initiative. So that finishes on the 31st of May this year. So up until that point, there are quite a lot of plans to bring the guys back down. But I think it'll be beginning of next year because right now the crowds are just not there for bands really to make it viable. Certainly not to bring the lads all the way down. So if anybody's watching this and they fancy a bit of Bad Actress and you've got some money and you're a promoter, give us a shout because I'm sure the guys would turn up to the opening of an envelope.
So obviously we've got a couple of minutes, one and a bit minute left. Tell us more about it then. Where do we get in touch? If these promoters are out there, which they are, which they're going to be watching, how do we get in touch with Bad Actress? How do we check you out? Give us your links.
You'll find everything on badactress.net. So everything's linked to there, or just www.badactress.net. But on any social media, we're just at Bad Actress Band. So all our contacts on there as well. If you did want to contact us, that's up on the website, or just through social media as well.
What I'll do for you, Chick, I'll put all the links down below. So guys, if you're watching this and you want to get in touch with Chick and the band, click on the links below. They are also linked to Forge JMP as well, which is great. So I'll put their link in as well. Reach out to John. John will help you out as well. Get in touch with them. They're a really top band. They're up and coming. You're going to hear a lot about them in the next year. I can guarantee it. John, have you got anything else you want to ask Chick before we close it off?
No, but what I would like to say that Chick's first trip down to England, as most of you that's watching this may have already seen, is when he left a little part of himself in England forever. It's called his appendix.
I came home with a new guitar.
Yeah, you did. Left your appendix. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
What guitar did you get? Oh, wait, you got the custom one, didn't you?
Yeah, from Mark Hilditch. I got in touch with him about a year ago. And I didn't realize he stayed down in Chesterfield. So when he saw we were playing there, he got in touch with me and he was like, "Well, I'll give it to you there then." So,
I've got to ask, what's it like?
It was amazing. I haven't stopped playing it since. It's right here on the wall actually.
Go on, give us a little look. Give us a look.
What's surprising about it as well is I picked it up and it's a lot lighter than I expected.
Yeah, really light. Yeah,
really light.
What pickups in it?
It's a custom handmade pickup by a guy, and I was gutted because I love the pickup, but the guy stopped making them. This was the last pickup he ever made.
Really?
He's done making them now. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, mate. It is pretty cool. Like, so, obviously send me the links and I'll put him on. I'll put a link to his page on our page as well. So just ping it on to us. But yeah, that's your 20 minutes up, mate.
Cool.
I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for having us put you on the hotspot. John, over to you, mate.
Well, finally, before we say goodbye, I'd just like to wish Bad Actress all the best in the final of Stormbreakers on Saturday at Bathgate. Do us proud, do Scotland proud, and make sure you get to play Winterstorm. Except no second places or third places, mate. I'm sure you'll give it everything. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, you know what to do. Hit that cowbell and subscribe.